Hello. Um, Day 8, I think. I just kind of winged it in terms of what chapter we're on. 8. 8 indeed is the chapter that we are on. So it is day 8 of the Song of the Lark, and welcome into our reading. So, like I was talking about at the end of yesterday, I've been struggling with reading this particular book because of its occasionally, I'll say, casually racist phrases. So far, it's mostly been about people of Mexican descent, which I happen to qualify for, at least halfway. So, in that way, I feel that potentially I do have a voice to talk about these specific things. But on the other side of the hand, is that yes, I'm also half white, and I'm a white woman like Willa Cather. So it's a tough spot to be in because I've been editing out the more quote unquote racist things that she writes because I didn't want to bring those into the world again if I didn't have to, or like speak them aloud if I didn't have to. And I don't feel that I have to, which is another difficult thing, is that but if you don't speak them aloud, then it technically lets Willa Cather off the hook. And basically what I think I've come down to is that I don't know if I'm going to enjoy reading this novel if I'm trying to edit out and edit around and have deeper conversations about race that I don't know if I'm fully prepared to have, if that makes sense to everyone. Because I just don't I don't think we need, not that we don't need to have conversations about race, because we certainly need to have conversations about race. But I don't know, if I need to read this book particularly aloud. And I didn't know the author before, and I don't, she has a lot of wonderful phrases, but I don't know, Jean. Maybe. She has a lot of wonderful phrases, but is that worth the racism? But then again, also any book that is an older book. She has a gay book? But then is that if we switch books of hers, doesn't that just let her off the hook again for creating this text that is ultimately seems to be racist in some ways? I don't know. I'm really struggling with figuring this out because y'all know that I love women, but white women have had a huge role in the continuation and in racism as a whole. And it seems that Willa Cather is no different. But then what if we switch to it's really hard because America has no history without the history of its racism. And at least there are Mexican characters, and they seem to have hopes and dreams and aren't stereotypes, which is honestly to tell you the truth, I can't think of another book that is not about a Mexican person or the Mexican experience that has Mexican characters that I've read. So I can think of plenty of books that are like have Mexican characters that are about being Mexican and like the Mexican experience, but like I'm not even like, I don't know. I guess a lot of books don't talk about it and they just assume that you think that everybody is white. And so you have to have like a radical thinking to think that these characters aren't white, because that's just what they expect you to do. But also then it's like letting, I don't know. Nothing is good. Why can't people just represent people? Like, why is it so hard for authors and like for people before to just like think a little tiny bit beyond themselves? Why is that so difficult? It's really frustrating. And it makes my heart really sad, and I don't want these readings to be making anybody's hearts sad. Including my own heart, for that is a heart that I must consider. So the next book that I was planning on reading was Wuthering Heights, by one of the Brontes. Which Bronte, I don't know. But then like with that, it's like, well, racism, I don't know. Like racism was happening in the UK, but it's not always being written about. By Kate Bush. What is this? Emily, thank you. One of the Brontes. There's two of them, and they both wrote very good books. So, and I tried to do some research last night about Mexican American female authors. That's what you just said, right? I don't know. Kate Bush is. I'm sorry. I tried to do some research last night about like Mexican American female authors who are writing in the same time. And though there are Mexican American female authors who are writing novels in the same time frame, oh, thank you. They haven't been translated. Their works haven't been translated into English. And although, interesting. And although I do know a little tiny bit of Spanish, I think it would be a little too much for Patricia to type everything into the. Patricia can read it for us and translate it at the same time. A double entendre. Okay, so basically, I don't really want to continue with this book. Patricia. So I don't know what to do. It's very sad, and I don't know what to read if not this. Burn it. So, okay, I think that's the end of the Song of the Lark then. There's a reason nobody made a movie of it. Yeah, let's take a poll. The only other, I think, 3 books that I currently own, thanks, and can, that I currently own and therefore can read. I have, what about a different song? See, the problem is with modern Mexican female is that I can't read them without violating copyright law. It has to be written before 1924 for me to be able to read them, unless I'm thinking of Sandra Cisneros wrong, which could be true. And also, like, I don't want to potentially, like, take away money from, like, especially, like, authors of like, color and stuff like that. So that's, copyright. That's why we're reading only old books. I would love to read some of the really awful YA novels that I have on my shelf for you. No, that's not just my theme. There's a reason I'm only reading old novels. So I can only read things that are written before No, I thought I explained this to everyone. um, no, I have to do it because of copyright. Uh, Newt Newt. That's not good. So the only 3 books that I currently have are, and I'll get them out because they're all, there's a bookshelf underneath my desk, which is why I suddenly, that's true, I could do a Zoom reading. That would be fun. Okay. Rebecca is not young enough, old enough. So I have Pride and Prejudice. And I've been doing a lot of Pride and Prejudice stuff lately. So I don't think I can do that. And then I have Wuthering Heights, which I really like the title, not the title, the cover. And Jane Eyre. Right? I'll have you know that I went downstairs and I was like to my parents and I was like, guys, it's Jane Eyre, not Jane Eyre. And they're like, we don't believe that. So it's not my fault. Thank you. Isn't it the best? I love these shirts. I'm trying to buy one for my screenwriting professor because he has these things called space dogs. Why am I stopping? I'm confused. Okay, so anyways, those are the 3 that I currently have. Any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns? They're all English women. And I believe none of them talk about imperialism, but I can't solve that problem, I think. Wide Sargasso Sea, delicious. Oh, is that the one that talks about the other character? That was a good one. Maybe we'll do a Wide Sargasso Sea, not like a Zoom read, but like a book club. Right? Does that make sense? I think we could all probably get it somehow. Not. Oh boy. Get it somehow. Okay, I haven't done any research about any of these. Okay, it doesn't look too. I kind of do want to do. Okay, interesting. I know that Dane wanted to do Jane Eyre, and we've all basically everybody voted for Jane Eyre except for me. Okay, is it a rough read? Like, tell me more. So give me the dirt. Okay, that's true. Because I didn't because everybody's like, it's the ultimate love story. And I'm like, and I read it and I was like, Heathcliff is the worst kind of man. So, and I have read Jane Eyre before. But are we gonna, you know what? I just think I'm not gonna read a chapter of something today, and I'm gonna do a little research on Jane Eyre first, so I don't get into any waters that I am not ready to navigate. But I will read our quotes from How to Be an Antiracist by Ibram X. Kendi. Okay. Oh, God damn it. I always forget to star my favorite quotes. Ah, nuts. Nuts. Please hold. Kind of like that one. There's so many good quotes. The chapter yesterday was most. Can't eat nuts. They get stuck in my throat. All right. I'll just do those two. Okay, so the reason this is different, but the reason that I sing that little song whenever I'm like trying to figure out what to do, it's a song called "The Girl from Ipanema." Ipanema, Ipanema, yeah. And it plays on the Jurassic Park ride at Universal Studios. And I can't honestly, like, I remember it playing on that ride, but I haven't heard it play on that ride for a while. I think they might have taken it out, which is really unfortunate because it was like the funniest thing. But it just like, it's this little like elevator music sort of tune that like plays while you like your little boat goes past this like car that's fallen into the sea. It's just funny. And that's what I think of every time I hear "The Girl from Ipanema." Okay, there are two bigger quotes that require a knowledge of the case of Brown versus the Board of Education, which was about segregation in schools, and how that case, correct me if I'm wrong, was the case that was essentially like, hey, let's, what if instead of having like segregated schools, we just brought Black people and put them into the white schools, and that will solve the problem. And although it was like a good attempt, it also posits that white spaces are superior to Black spaces, which is highly problematic and just not true. And the real problem is not posited by this book, and anyone is always free to like be like, Sophie, I think that's dumb, but it's my takeaway from this book, is that the unequal funding for schools is the issue. And those are the quotes that I'm going to read about today. So, Brown versus Board of Education was in 1954. So, here's the quote. By 1973, literally the quote is just a really long passage, so I'm just going to go for it. Okay. By 1973, when the resource inequities between the public schools had become too obvious to deny, the Supreme Court ruled in San Antonio Independent School District versus Rodriguez that property tax allocations yielding inequities in public schools do not violate the Equal Protection Clause of the U.S. Constitution. The 1973 Supreme Court ruling reified the only solution emanating from the Brown decision in 1954, busing Black bodies from detrimental Black spaces to worthwhile white spaces. Since there are adequate Black schools and prepared instructors and instructions, then there is nothing different except the presence of white people, wrote an insulted Zora Neale Hurston in the Orlando Centennial in 1955. Martin Luther King Jr. also privately disagreed. This is Martin Luther King Jr. now. I favor integration on buses and in all areas of public accommodation and travel. I think integration in our public schools is different, King told two Black teachers in Montgomery, Alabama in 1959. White people view Black people as inferior. People with such a low view of the Black race cannot be given free rein and put in charge of the intellectual care and development of our boys and girls. So that's our thoughts. When I say our thoughts, I mean Ibram X. Kendi's incredibly well put together thoughts about racism and segregation in schools, which I think is a good thing to think about. Also, Tina Ziegler, the Westview principal, will get back to you if you email her and tell her why you're upset with Westview. So consider that. Yep. There's a lot of problems in schooling and beyond. So, thank you for listening to me today, figuring out how to get around the Song of the Lark and how to make that work for us, and to find out that, you know what, it's just not working for us, and that's okay. And I'm trying to offer a space of positivity and fun. And the Song of the Lark was not making me feel very positive or very fun. Um, and I'm not, and like listening to like me, like knowing that I'm not adequately educated enough to be able to present that text in the way that it must be presented in if it is going to be dealt with. So thank you for that. Let me know any thoughts you have, any suggestions, and I am very excited, as always, to be here with you and to get shit done and make change. So thank you. I will see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock for the start of something new. What's something? We'll probably be Jane Eyre, but we'll find out. I'll do some research and we'll report back. I'll see you tomorrow for a novel that will probably be a Bronte sister. Alrighty-os. Thank you for listening. Thanks for your thoughts, your comments, and your dedication to being here. It's really nice. And I like talking not into a void and having this one small area of human interaction beyond my immediate family in the day. Okie dokios. See you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. Stay safe. Stay active. I'm gonna put some tweets in the comment section today. People you can tweet. Okay, see you soon. Bye.